Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, the PM hints at plans for a vaccination day. 2 bodies recovered as a boat capsizes in the northern Bahamas. Plus 1,100 passengers set to depart from Nassau Cruise Port tomorrow. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announcing plans for a vaccination day when all vaccinated people can enjoy activities currently prohibited under COVID-19 emergency orders. He also hinted that the curfew on New Providence may be tweaked, at least for vaccinated individuals. Jasmine Brown has the details.
I look forward to declaring a particular day very soon as Vaccination Day, and we can have vaccination parties, those who are vaccinated, and most of all, we can have vaccinated happy hours in our restaurants and bars.
The surprising announcement came as the Prime Minister delivered remarks at Lyford Key International School's ribbon-cutting ceremony for his upper school this morning. As he encouraged Bahamians and residents to get vaccinated, Minnis insisted it is how the Bahamas will get out of the pandemic. When questioned on the sidelines of the event about what exactly Vaccination Day would mean, Minnis said this.
So what we're basically saying is we want to open the country. So we can have a vaccinated day where you can have happy hour. If we're all vaccinated, carry on, enjoy yourself. The band members are vaccinated, play on, right? Then you can have parties. Vaccinated, carry on. Have your party.
Dr. Minnis added that adjustments could also be coming to the nightly curfews for those who are vaccinated.
We will even give you benefits that I would not explain. I would not go into that, but we may say, well, listen, 10 o'clock is a bit limited. I know you young people don't like 10 o'clock, so I'll address that on Thursday.
The Prime Minister also explained that there have already been situations where people have benefited from being vaccinated.
The whole concept is this. We had said a long time ago that once they're all vaccinated, they can dine inside. A grouping had written and asked whether they could have 90 individuals at a wedding. They were all vaccinated. All 90 were vaccinated. And our response was, carry on, you're all vaccinated. Then they wrote back a week later and asked, could they have a John Canoe group rush through to provide music for the wedding. I said, if they are all vaccinated, carry on.
Now, the Prime Minister was short on some details, like when that vaccination day will be held and how exactly authorities will be able to determine who's vaccinated and who's not. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
A little boy was one of 2 Haitian nationals who died after a 24-foot vessel overturned in waters near Memory Rock. 8 survivors were found clinging to the vessel. Officials believe the group was sailing to the United States when tragedy struck. Berthany McDermott reports.
The mother of a boy who died on a vessel that overturned 5 miles off of Memory Rock was inconsolable today as officers rolled her son's body away. Shortly before 9 a.m., officials from OPBAT received information that a 24-foot vessel had capsized in the northern Bahamas. 8 Haitian nationals were rescued while 2 bodies, a boy and a woman, were recovered.
Upon their arrival, they would have met the capsized vessel and 8 persons hanging on who appeared to be dehydrated, who were rescued by the officers. Upon further checks of the vessel, they were discovered 2 persons submerged in the vessel under the water, which was an adult female and a male child.
The group, consisting of 4 females and 4 males, arrived at the Royal Bahamas Police Force Marine Patrol Base on Grand Bahama this afternoon. Among the rescued was a baby boy whose condition is unknown. According to Bahamas Air, Sea and Rescue Association Chairman Eddie Wong, officials believe at least 15 people were on the vessel. He said the search continues.
We have several aircrafts. Coast Guard has aircraft flying. They actually even gave us 2 Navy helicopters which are flying around. We have Basra vessels out there. We have Basra planes out there, and we have more going. And we're going to search and search and search all through today. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much we can do tonight.
Officials are unclear where the vessel came from. Senior Immigration Officer Chad Adams said since the onset of the pandemic, they've seen an increase in these illegal exercises, specifically from Grand Bahama and Bimini.
We want to advise those out there, Bahamian citizens and foreigners alike. These events are dangerous. Please be advised. Let us not do these things because persons are losing their lives daily on these human smuggling events. What we're asking is those Bahamian citizens that are involved in facilitating these matters, we want you to understand that both the Immigration Department is working along with the police, with the Defense Force and our international agencies to bring you to justice.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, the Prime Minister defending the government's plan to create affordable housing for young professionals. Jasmine Brown has that.
The Prime Minister on the defense after East Grand Bahama MP Peter Turnquest told parliamentarians during the budget debate that the government's Access to Affordable Homes Amendment Bill 2021, which carves out tax benefits for a select group of homeowners, is discriminatory and goes against the principle of fairness and equal treatment under the law. When asked about the comments, Dr. Minnis said this.
Everyone has their views, but I'm focused on ensuring that the young people has all the advantages possible in advancing them. There are too many people who want to move in upscale homes, western area, eastern areas, and they can't afford it.
The Prime Minister says it is his administration's duty to help where it can.
Inner city is a perfect example. Inner city was declared tax-free. Inner city. They had utilized, in terms of tax concessions, about $2.5 million. 49 individuals within the inner city embarked. They were given $122,000 total in terms of grants via the SPDC. And those 49 individuals were able to employ, having established their own business, they were able to employ 142 individuals. In addition to that, they were able to increase revenue to $4.8 million. And you tell me I shouldn't do more? I'm not doing enough.
But in Parliament, the former Deputy Prime Minister insisted the bill is extremely worrisome and it is inherently discriminatory on many fronts, though well-intentioned. He also insisted that every citizen of the Bahamas is an equal taxpayer and has an inalienable right to enjoy equal benefits provided by the state. The bill, which was tabled along with the budget bills, grants the Minister of Finance the ability to prescribe the criteria for approval of applications. Once approved, applicants are granted exemption from customs duties and the excise tax with respect to the import of domestic purchase of any materials needed for home construction and furniture and appliances for a home, provided that the home is completed and furnished within 2 years of approval.
So it's the government's responsibility to assist wherever possible.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
After more than a year of no cruise ship activity, over 1,000 visitors are set to depart Prince George Wharf tomorrow. This comes as the Nassau Cruise Port development begins to take shape 1 year out from its scheduled completion. Kyle Joaquin has more.
This is Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas, and tomorrow it will depart Nassau Harbor with 1,100 passengers. For the first time, Royal Caribbean will have a home port here in the Bahamas. Construction underway at Nassau Cruise Port development, which is expected to be transformed into one of the greatest waterfronts in the world, with a price tag just shy of $300 million.
So when this project is finished on the marine side, which will be November of this year, We'll be able to cater to 3 Oasis-class ships at the same time, and then 3 Dream-class ships.
Nassau Cruiseport is projected to be an attraction in its own right, with a Junkanoo Museum, amphitheater, and other attractions to go on well into the night. With the expansion of the cruiseport, it'll be able to handle up to 33,000 passengers in a given day. On the employment front, currently 60% or 150 Bahamians are employed on this phase, which includes marine works. Once complete, 80% of staff at the cruiseport must be Bahamian.
Now, when we move upland, one thing we know Bahamians can do is build homes, build office buildings, and all those kinds of things. So what we're going to see when we do the upland works is that you're going to see a sharp increase in the number of Bahamians working. But even still, even under the marine works, you have a majority of the persons working out here.
The Adventure of the Seas sits docked in Nassau Harbor, its new home port, just a day before it departs with 1,100 passengers.
They'll then get processed at the Hilton Hotel, where you have the team from RCCL that will be checking in these guests, providing them with an antigen test, even though, as you all know, these visitors would have been primarily fully vaccinated.
During our tour today, we saw loads of debris being hauled away as the site got a bit cleaned up ahead of the ship's departure. Construction of the cruiseport is expected to be completed next summer. Mora said the goal is to create a warm experience for all guests who come through the cruiseport, as portrayed in the welcome sign that says, "Y'all reach."
This is going to be an exciting place, and it's really about enhancing Nassau as a destination, more so than it is about branding Nassau Cruiseport, because at the end of the day, we need our product to contribute to elevating Nassau as a destination, because at the end of the day, we want a cruise passenger, an Atlantis guest, a Baja Mar guest, going back and saying Nassau was awesome.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And another beautiful day in the capital. Greg Thompson has the latest over in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody on this TGIF weather. First look, warm outside. Our studios right now, temperatures near the 80-degree mark once again with few clouds. Very southeasterly warm flow across the area. They're light, but 5 knots, and your feels like temperature still near the 80-degree mark. Another beautiful day around the islands. Hard pressed to find much in terms of any significant clouds, but that easterly flow will continue to be the trend for the next couple of hours, and temperatures will become mild later on. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, the PM dismisses criticism from 2 F&M MPs. Plus, meet the pregnant mother of 2 living in her car. Stay with us.
Happy Foods, Happy Foods, 242, 242. Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods, 242, food galore just for you. Happy Foods, 242, food galore.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis is dismissing criticism from 2 of his Free National Movement colleagues, adding that he's not surprised that he's become a target.
That's not anything new. Every prime minister is always targeted. The leaders are always targeted.
During the budget debate, Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine accused the competent authority of ignoring the average Bahamian while selling them dreams. Former Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Lanisha Roll also hit out at her party, insisting that she was treated unfairly when she was cut out of another nomination. The Seabreeze MP added that the announcement by the Cabinet Office after her resignation, indicating the Prime Minister was investigating certain matters, caused her hurt and harm. When asked about the criticism leveled against him, the Prime Minister said he's focused on improving economic conditions in the Bahamas.
My job, my duty is to improve the quality of life for the Bahamian people and to advance Bahamas as the rest of the world advances. Very focused especially on COVID vaccine, ensuring that as many Bahamians as possible are vaccinated so that we can recommence our economy.
Full Adventure of the Seas will set sail tomorrow from New Providence after nearly 15 months without passengers. Ahead of that initial trip, RCL's VP of Government Relations in the Americas says the company is excited the ship is home porting in the Bahamas. Jillian Gray has more.
When Adventure of the Seas sets sails tomorrow, it'll be at less than 50% of their capacity. But that's strategic, according to VP Russell Branford, who says they not only want this to be an enjoyable trip, but also a safe one for their guests and residents alike.
You're never going to, be 100% safe. You're never going to be rid of COVID. It's always a risk, but, through the protocols, we want to minimize the risk and manage it as best as possible. It still exists. COVID is still with us, but we all have to recognize we have to get back to work. We need to try to get back to life as usual. So we think that the policy for vaccinated travelers for the Bahamas-based ships is appropriate, and we think it's the best way to minimize the risk.
Flying into Nassau yesterday, Benford says he could feel the excitement in the airport, which was full of people, many of whom were cruise passengers. The Bahamas was the first port of call for the company 52 years ago, and it's that legacy he says they wanted to keep alive.
A lot of folks came in days ago, so they were booking stays at hotels. So we've seen hundreds of hotel nights that have been booked by cruise passengers, which is great for the economy. Folks are taking taxis from the airport to the hotel. They're taking limos. They're taking buses, they're taking tours while they're here, they're shopping, on Bay Street, they're spending money in the hotels and resorts, they're eating at local restaurants. And so as it relates to the home port ship, I think has been a great shot in the arm, for the local economy.
All adult passengers boarding the Adventures of the Seas must be fully vaccinated, and children must test negative for COVID-19. Benford heralded the Bahamas' COVID protocol, stating that from the easy-to-get COVID test to go home to the mask mandate, the Bahamas has implemented best practices to keep the community safe. Adventure of the Seas will leave from Nassau for a 2-day stay at Perfect Day at Coco Key, a day in Cozumel, Mexico, and then on to Grand Bahama. They've been working with industry stakeholders on that island to ensure they're ready for the influx in business.
For this inaugural cruise from Nassau, we'll spend a whole day in Freeport. So we've worked for months with the Taxi Association. We work with people who own, resorts, people who have attractions, just to make sure that they're prepared and ready to receive our guests. And most importantly, be able to get folks back to work in both, New Providence and Grand Bahama.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
A pregnant 24-year-old mother is living in her car as she struggles to raise 2 other children. Jared Higgs shares her story.
24-year-old Kayshell Anderson, like so many others, is in a desperate situation.
I find myself in a predicament of being homeless. In my car, I've also been evicted.
Unemployed since before the pandemic, this pregnant mother of 2 is left to sleep in her car after being evicted from an overcrowded apartment. She's expecting a child in 3 months, and her 9-month-old still requires constant attention. Her 4-year-old doesn't speak much as he plays nearby in baggy clothes his mother says was donated to them.
I want the best for them. I want to be able to be independent, to work where I could take care of them, where I don't have to depend on people.
Our news has told several stories of people like Anderson over the past year as the pandemic altered and in many cases worsened people's lives. Anderson struggles to find work, and with jobs even more scarce now, her prospects are slim.
It would be anything. It would be cleaning, housekeeping, government job, anything. I'm a smart girl.
Anderson parks her car in a church parking lot when it's time to sleep at night. She's trying to get help from social services, but even if she does, that'll only be temporary. At 24, she's still pretty young. Raising attention to her situation allows for the chance that somebody may see and decide to help. On the other hand, Anderson knows she runs the risk of being criticized for her personal choices.
I have always been a striving young lady. I always been trying to get help for us to eat. And people reach out to me and help, and I really appreciate that. It's just that I'm in a position where I don't have no place to stay right now.
Though the odds are against her, the 24-year-old is hanging on to hope.
I want to be respectable to a woman, and I want him to be independent. I don't want him to have a lady in this position that I am in it. I don't want him to have her in this position that I am in. I want him to be the best father if he becomes a father.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Up next, government officials pay their respects to former Senator Audley Hanna. Plus, think HBCU hosting its 2nd college fair. The details when our news returns.
Happy Foods. 242. 242. Happy Foods. 242. Food galore just for you. Happy Food. 242. Food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods. 242. Food galore just for you. Happy Foods. 242. Food galore.
This is our news. Welcome back. Government officials paying their respects today to former Senator Audley Hanna as his body lies in state. Hanna served as a PLP senator starting in 1977. Opposition leader Philip Davis remembered him as a brave union leader in Grand Bahama who earned his senatorial appointment through his advocacy for workers.
Of the inequities were heavy upon the neck of our people. He stepped forward and and became the first union at that plant, Bahama Cement Plant, and led them through any number of their trials and tribulations to make sure that the workers at that plant were treated with dignity. And he took that on to the larger scale.
Among those signing the Book of Condolences were Governor General C.A. Smith and PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell. A state-recognized funeral will be held tomorrow morning. And Think HBCU will host its second college fair for 2021 this Saturday through Tuesday. The hybrid event will be held at the Beach Soccer Stadium and is being hosted by AKA and Alpha Phi Alpha with Talladega College. Sunday's meeting will be virtual.
And it opens the door, not only for the bachelor's level, but for those who desire to go on as well. So we feel it's very important, and we would encourage Bahamian students to take advantage of this opportunity. Like I said, it's hybrid, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. It's going to be in person. You can register via Eventbrite, and on Sunday, virtual.
After participating in Think HBCU's virtual college fair in April, President Dr. Billy Hawkins says they had over 300 interested and eligible candidates, so they decided to visit in person. Along with transcripts, athletes and musicians should bring a portfolio or their instrument, as there will also be auditions for athletic and band scholarships.
We just believe that any student who looks at us will see an institution that is well-rounded and that their experience there, because we are a small institution, will be a very, very positive experience.
Those individuals who are interested in athletic scholarships, if you have any tapes or streams of your athletic performance and or any of your statistics, we will be evaluating all of those to give to our coaches so that they can determine what kind of scholarship offers there will be.
When our news returns, how creating a hurricane plan can save you big time. Stay with us.
Happy Foods. Happy Foods. 242. 242. Happy Foods. 242. Food galore just for you. Happy Food. 242. Food galore just for you. This ain't no talking show, it's an eating show. Sasha Laurel is the host of Happy Foods. 242. Food galore just for you. Happy Foods. 242. Food galore.
Welcome back to our news. Mostly sunny and pleasant conditions this weekend. Greg has the details in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christine, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. That high-pressure system in the Atlantic really in firm control of our weather, providing us with a dry air mass across the area. We also have some slight Saharan dust. That's going to continue to keep conditions beautiful for the next couple of days. National Hurricane Center now focusing its attention on the Bay of Campeche, just off the Yucatan Peninsula. Some slow development of a system expected over the next couple of days. That's an area we will continue to monitor. Boating conditions across the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Those winds are going to be very nice, southeast to southerly, 10 knots, seas running 1 to 3 feet over the ocean, while in the central and southeastern islands, an east to southeasterly flow continues for you guys down there, seas 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. High tide will be at 9:36 tonight. Here is a look now at your national forecast. A look now to extended forecast through Wednesday. Hot but beautiful conditions expected into the weekend. Do enjoy. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, we're just under 2 weeks into the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, and experts are encouraging all residents to make a plan and stick to it in the event of a hurricane. Braun is a consulting firm that specializes in environment and climate resiliency. Project manager Kelly Ashley Armstrong says that plan should be in motion before the season actually begins and should be crafted for the area you live in.
That you live in a community that typically floods during a regular rainfall event that's not extreme, you definitely want to get your community members together and come up with a plan.
Armstrong says that plan should take into account wind and water impacts from hurricanes and storms.
If you're living directly on the coast, one of the things that you may have to consider is actually shoreline protection. And that can vary from natural to structural options, and maybe you may need to combine them and think of a more dynamic approach and incorporate both. A lot of our drainage systems are not at the capacity they need to be for this increased rainfall that we're talking about, that we've been experiencing in more recent years. So just making sure that they're clean and clear of debris would go a long way.
So are we ready for the next big one? The Breakdown takes a deep dive this Monday, only on RTV. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.